Ahoy and welcome back to another fantastic week of LCO. I'm pumped. We got Skimmy and Tally joining us on the desk. They're full of energy. I'm pumped right now because we had a week off. A short week was enough for me just to get a little bit of recovery, guys. A little bit more. Now the juice to back in. Woo! Let's get this stuff going. I can see Tally's excited. Skimmy's always got the energy. We're so keen to be here. We got some banger games tonight. But before anything, we have an awesome announcement. We have to talk about the view party that's coming up for the finals over at Fortress Sydney. Don't forget, if you'd like to find out more information, !watch party in the chat right now is the way to do it. But yes, if you are a Sydney local, it is worth going down, having a bit of a cheeky gander, meet some more fantastic people in the community who love LCO as much as we do. Skimmy, it's going to be a big one.
It is. Look, they've had them time and time again over the years. They've always drawn a massive crowd. Good opportunity for you to meet some new players, perhaps, find that buddy for an ARAM, maybe that Duo Q partner. I know also around the country, people tend to host their own viewing parties as well to get amongst it. So it's a great time to sort of celebrate an interest that you will share.
Something we all love and see, but before we get into anything, it is the LCO, so we have to look at last week's replays. Let's jump into it and see what Week 5 had in store for us. Overstaying a bit here, he might fall down because of this.
I think he has, yeah. He's gone a little bit too deep on this occasion. Found one in the mid lane. Says, you know what? Matrox, I forgot just how much healing I have.
And maybe Fury are like, yeah, we really have been cooking.
Yeah, we see Sovereign's playing it. He's like, what the hell is going on?
Fusion out of the fog of war. In jumps Fury. He's dead though. The Crow Storm's just not enough. Look at Chirp, who actually let the dogs out because this man is going crazy. Flip it around, and out comes the Mordekaiser. Today really is
I love this
upside down day because we're just doing the most wild stuff. Bench, he looks towards Kevy, who goes for the 3-point strike, locks in place in Cursor and says, okay,
no,
you're all just going to die. You know what? Screw your pleas for tanks. More aggression, more dive, more pressure. Katarina!
That's like...
Is that Garrett? No. Spin around where you are. Why is it so hard?
Alright, you want another hit?
Are we done?
It's
Wait, no way, man! There's no way!
Like, what do you do for that?
So this damage is just going to go absolutely through the roof, and for good reason too. He says, you know what? Flash in their face. There is that slicing maelstrom.
Be right back. No worries. He'll be along very soon. Tally, it's you and me, man. Wait,
He's back.
What are you doing?
I was still moving on my screen, man, and I just see like the BRB screen. I'm like, not again, dude. That previous pickup. Can Nox do something crazy here? Can he go for the steal again? No way. How does he steal that?
Yep.
They frying.
They're frying.
Handshakes. I'll be the middleman. Boom.
Wow, of course, I got it wrong. Let's not worry about it. I get thrown under the bus every time, yeah.
The boys.
I've done it. Nailed it. All right, I figured out my directions left and rights aren't that hard, but all right, what an awesome week that was though, Tally. Like, how good was week 5? We saw some big things. The Neferi pick is still a highlight for us.
Yeah, I think that was quite a highlight. I think we saw so many like unique picks we're not really seeing overseas, and it was really nice to see that like there's a lot left in the wheelhouse we're seeing from these teams, and they've had that week off now. So excited to see if they've dove a bit further into these unique champions that we keep seeing.
Hopefully, we'll have to wait and see. But before we get into any of that, let's take a bigger look at the whole scheme of things. Let's look at the playing standings of these teams and how they're sitting. And ooh, doggy, Ground Zero sitting right up the top. 18 points. They are locked in first. Team Bliss and Antic in the second and third place, looking very good, very contendable. Ion Fury and Direwolves in that next spot, the lower bracket playoff seed. But there are some things that could change as well because Mammoth and Kanga down the bottom. But Tally, this is looking a bit interesting for Ion Fury Direwolves.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a lot, to do with where these teams are going to end up placing, and I think it will count a lot because getting that little bit of a bye, being able to see your direct opponents play before you do, getting the ability to gather some more information about them before you have to thirst them in these really important best of series is so crucial. So I think all the points that these teams can gather in the next 2 days are so important.
Look, definitely is, but we're going to have to see what today's schedule is going to look like to see where these teams will actually end up, and we'll have so much more. But tonight, yes, ladies and gentlemen, and fans of the LCO, Kanga vs. Bliss is your first series, followed up by Antic versus Ground Zero. Now, Skimmy, that second series is going to be a bit of a banger.
It certainly is there, Pike. Yeah, as you already said, Grand Zero locked in first. Antic really want to try and pinch that spot away from Bliss to put themselves in second. Upper bracket is the goal, that's where they are. But potentially that switching around between second and third could add a little bit of extra spice, a little bit more drama going into those best-of series.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because we saw Antic versus Bliss last time, week 5, but now they're up against the big dogs. So it's like, how will they actually perform in that? So that's where I'm really excited to see how that's going to look. But it's any team sort of night here, Tally. Would you agree?
I still got to give, Ground Zero, I got to put them as, the favorites. I just think that they look too comfortable against, a lot of what these other OS rosters have brought out so far. But I do think, we've all seen the changes Antic have made. I think that this is the time for them to prove that they're, not that, locked-in 13. They do, or they can contend with the top 2 rosters in the LCO. And I'm really curious to see what that does look like.
We'll have to see how it's going to look, but as well, let's have a look at the latest patch, because week 6 means we get a patch update again. Tally, I'll let you just run away with this.
We're kind of seeing a lot. I think the major things that will really change in competitive is the fact that, so many of the AP junglers were nerfed. I think Karthus was the main one to be hit, a lot to do with his clear speed. Brand's initial clear wasn't really impacted. A lot of it was lane focus, whereas, Talia, another one who got hit with the clear speed. So might see Karthus and Talia drop down in pride, but we're still going to see Brand and Zara be those, 2 really strong champions. But, looking over the other side at the buffs, I'm actually really excited for the Bilgewater buffs. I think Graves, Gangplank, and Misfortune are all, some of my favorite champions. So it's really nice to see they all receive these really solid buffs that, put them in contention to be played if the situation does suit them.
That just tells me there's a cool Bilgewater skin line coming out or something, right? That would have to be kind of dope, if I'm being honest. But as well, we're seeing the Xayah, the Varus adjustments too. Again, I've been seeing a lot of the AP Varus in the mid lane in my own games. Do you think we could see a bit more of, again, we know Raze loves Xayah as well. Are we expecting to see these AD carries come back?
I hope so, man. I really, really do. We always bring it up. When it comes to playoffs, as a champion that gives you that sort of self-peel potential, the ultimate's fantastic. The buff to the Blade Caller to make it ripping back of those feathers a little bit easier is going to be a hotly discussed point. And I think for the Varus, the adjustments towards that, right, it's our second most played champion this split for the AD carry role. Looking to try and phase that out of the lethality. So annoying, so disruptive. And the only way that team's able to beat it, right, is if they just rent full-on 5v5 dive into you before you have a time to really kind of set yourself up and then spam them with arrows from afar, and you're thinking this is not balanced. So yeah, might not see as much Varus nowadays. Maybe we will in very niche scenarios like you said there as well, Pike.
Look, I'm excited for that. I think you talked about this whole sort of 5v5 fights. We know Ose likes to thrive there, but we got to look out again a bit further, because let's have a look at LCO, the LJL, and the PCS and see what all of these regions have been pulling out. And Skimmy, it's looking pretty consistent.
What it is, yeah. Last time we checked in, we were, leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in terms of this priority towards the Nautilus. The one thing that was going against us is that we didn't really seem to care too much about the Rumble, as well as the Kalista, which actually you're going to still see rings true for those bans. Obviously, Kalista gets a little bit of a nerf on this patch as well, but we've had this heavy priority towards denying the Tristana flex. And you're seeing more and more of this take place, right? Obviously, the global meta so far is this double AD carry. We're starting to see even triple AD carry become more prominent. So I'm quite curious to see how these teams coming into a brand new patch look to try and lay it down, because this is what we're playing on for the playoffs. So a final week before you have this sort of do or die moments, it's a great chance to, experiment, and perhaps when the stakes aren't as high because you've already locked in that spot for that position, good chance for you to make sure it's, playoff ready.
At the same time as well, Tally, I want to put this to you. Is there anything in this sort of full graphic here that really stands out as noteworthy?
Skimmy did mention it. I think the priority on Kalista Ash specifically in the LJL and the PCS is what stands out to me. That just tells me they focus a lot more on this bot, heavy aggression, winning lane, getting leads in the early game to be able to play the mid game. Whereas LCO is a lot more focused on scaling champions, picking very easy point and click in Nautilus and Vi, and just making sure they always have a good team fight and just ease of execution.
Do you think, so there's probably a question for both of you then, is there any champion in the latest patch update that you'd like to see start being a bit more prioritized, a bit more pick heavy? Skimmy?
GP, mate. I love GP.
GP.
I'm not sure who would actually look to
Yeah.
try and pick it up, but this champion's always been a fan favorite. Back in the day when Tally used to play, yeah, big old Tapoon, my favorite, always would lock that one in, and you just knew it was a sure thing. He's going to win lane. They're going to make something happen on the map. The cannon barrage, so satisfying, so that would be my go-to for sure.
Tally, before we go to break?
I mean, I agree. It's going to be Gangplank. The champ is made for competitive. He's like, he wins early lane, he scales, he has a global. It kind of does everything you want in a champion. So if there is like an angle, a good matchup for him, you know, I think we might start seeing him come up in competitive again.
I'm going to say, the final note, I'm going to say I want to see Xayah more. I want to see like Xayah Rakan. I want to see Aladark on that Rakan, get Violet on that Xayah, and just see what that duo can do. We know it's so powerful. Fingers crossed it comes back. But let's go to a short break as we get ready for our first series of the day. It's going to be so much fun. Kanga versus Team Bliss. Is Bliss going to take home that win, or is Kanga going to make their mark? Stick around. You'll find out in a sec.
The city lights a neon aglow. We are stars covered in gold. Covered in gold. Walking on a highway of dreams. We will shine, only believe. Only believe. And the feeling's right to set the tone. Wanna light the spark and let it go. Late after midnight, light it up in the moonlight. Ain't no stopping us now. We just wanna be the fire. We just wanna be the fire. Burning desire. We go higher and higher, and we never come down. We just wanna be the fire. We just wanna be the fire. Taking down liquor and juice. Come alive, nothing to lose. Starting something, blood comes rushing, rushing. And the feeling's right to set the tone. Wanna light the spark and let it go. Yeah, just let it go. Gotta let it out. Wanna shake it out. Gotta let it out. Wanna shake it out. Yeah. Late after midnight, light it up in the moonlight. Ain't no stopping us now. No stopping. We just wanna be the fire. We just wanna be the fire. Whoa, burning desire. We go higher and higher, and we never come down.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes the Varus. Falls down on the stopwatch, it's carnage! Only triple happening here is for Phyto. Oh, Tapoon! It's do or die!
We're hopping mad here because Kanga vs Bliss is happening right now. And we're going to get right into it like we're out in the fields just, I don't know, going somewhere for fun. But let's have a look at Kanga, this beautiful
What's he saying?
team. Just someone we want to have a look at because they're just doing such good stuff. Look, I've got a lot of energy in me, guys, but this team's looking all right. They haven't had the best results, Skimmy, but they've got the energy behind them.
Look, yeah, they've had a rough season to split, given they've yet to find a win. A few roster shuffles amongst it as well certainly haven't helped their chances. But, you know, you've heard it from the players themselves. Vendrick, Sovereign, the newcomers to the league, newcomers to this level of play, have also mentioned, look, it's just been a rude awakening that, you know, the differences between what you're used to in amateur, used to in competitive, used to rather in solo queue, it doesn't match up to what we've experienced here. Different schedule, different pace. And I think above all else was the communication and macro. And that's something that Bliss definitely excel at.
Definitely brings it up. This is one of those hot contenders, one of the main teams that we were all looking at. And Tally, this team has been pretty much on fire this whole split.
Yeah, and I think that this is the team a lot of us put as our #1 seed to come out of the regular season, but they've started working up throughout the split, slowly improving, covering up all those mistakes, because we saw they were a bit, shaky in those earlier weeks, but as we get closer and closer to the playoffs, they look, so much more better. They're solidifying what they believe is the correct meta. They're having, multiple players who are having multiple really good performances, so I think Bliss, if they keep up the same trajectory, are going to be the team that will really contest Ground Zero.
That's the best part, right? I think that's one thing that we haven't probably seen in splits gone by, but it's like teams that have all these star-studded players that we know and love, but when they come together, you can put the carry potential onto any member. Like if one side started to get punched a little more, sweet, swap it to the other side, give Biopanther a chance just to absolutely blow up. And like you saw in that Jax clip, 4-man Counter-Strike, just absolutely monstrous. You can't ignore this team. Like they are looking so good, Skimmy.
Yeah, so well versed, so internationally recognized, right? Having gone over to multiple tournaments and haven't even played overseas. So I think it's going to be a very, very uphill task, given that Bliss have only dropped those 2 games to Ground Zero, and nobody else even looks close to them, right? So for Kanga, it very much is that David and Goliath story, 95-5 kind of odds, but I think there's a chance for him to try and do something completely crazy and maybe try and throw a headache towards Bliss as to like, okay, do we need to prepare for this perhaps?
And that's exactly what we're going to find out right now, because we have Sovereign, the star mid laner on the side of Kanga, joining us. Mate, I'm going to blow you a cheeky kiss. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How about yourselves? How are you all going?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't know how the other guy. I'm full of energy tonight. I'm having a blast.
Doing good, mate.
Sovereign, how's your solo queue been going, mate? Because I know you've been looking pretty good. I went and checked your OPGG. I won't say too much, but how are you feeling in solo queue? You enjoying the current meta?
Look, I'm not an AD mid player by any means. I've picked it up because that's what the meta has demanded of me so far. But on a couple of other accounts, I'm still playing a lot of Syndra when I can get it in. My favorite champion. But it's not going too bad, not too bad.
That's good to hear, mate. Like, I haven't seen the other accounts, so I can't speak for that. But, mate, it's good to hear that you're doing well and your games are going all right. I'm curious to see what you could pull out, but I'll let Skimmy find out a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it was a good question, I suppose, given that, 80 carries are reigning supreme. They're always crying about their role being weak, and suddenly now we've got like 3 of them on the map at once. It's just become a little bit too crazy. So to that extent, what has your approach been? If you wanted to try and lean more into like the 80 carry counters, like I know you've played Malphite a few times to try and be that beefcake that makes it very hard for them to try and function. So are we trying to lean more towards that if that's not your go-to preference?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been trying to learn the AD mids, the Tristana, the Corki, the Ezreal a little bit as well. But I do prefer to get the counters in if I can. I prefer like the Malphite. Even Syndra is pretty good into a lot of these ADs because you can just ease them away when they try to jump you. But look, I'm a meta slave. I have to kind of be one. But a bit of both. I prefer to be the the Malphite. It's fun. You get to have a bit of cheekiness running down enemy mid laners. But look, you got to do what you got to do.
What I'm getting from that is that you like to ruin their fun. You get fun from ruining their fun. Like, you've hit them with the rock slam, you've ulted them, they can't move, and they're just like, what's the point? And you're just smiling, you're just laughing straight to the bank.
If I'm making the enemy scream riot, then I think I'm doing my job well.
Tally.
Simple question. I have to ask, since it's the last game of the split for you guys, have you cooked up anything crazy? Have you prepared anything, that might surprise us?
Well, I mean, we've got Cadence in the jungle, which will be a bit of an interesting one. I guess we'll find out tonight some spiciness going on. Ooh.
Okay.
My screen bugged out for a minute there. I'm not sure if that got through.
Yeah. That's a little
you were saying too much. The
so
game lagged. I mean, the cool lag. It's like, hide it.
don't say too much.
So we've got Cadence in the jungle.
I like the sound
Hopefully
of that,
that'll be
though.
a little bit spicy, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm hoping for another Malphite game, personally, but I want to see it full AP. That's the difference. Could you pull that out for us?
I'll take that under consideration for you, okay? We'll see what happens.
Good consideration. Then we see the Tryndamere mid. See how that goes. Don't know how that's going to fully slot in with anything, but that's an AD mid, right? We could see that. Who knows? Well, Sovereign, thank you so much for jumping on the call tonight, man. Look, we have to catch up soon. Go have a great series. We'll catch up later.
Thank you very much.
Blow you another kiss. You've earned it.
I love
He
his
deserves
laid
those
back.
kisses. I love Sovereign, man. He's always a good vibe. Like, it is going to be a bit of a rough series, but he's always got his head screwed on. He's always ready for a good series. It's his first split as well, Tally.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big note to take away because it's a lot of these, players on Kanga's first split, and I think that, they are doing well to match up to the players we are seeing. Like, we see them play against top teams. They are doing pretty well in their lanes individually. They're not falling too far behind in the micro level, but it's just that mid game. It's that macro knowledge that you get from playing through so many years that is really what is, putting the edge in most of their games. So I think they shouldn't feel too bad about, going away from this split with the performances they've had so far.
Yeah, I think, the unfortunate result is still there, but you like you said, you can hold your head high and just know you're versing a league that I feel like has really stepped up. Like all these teams have really started to push their knowledge in how the game's played, and I feel like, I've mentioned before, OS is finally finding a bit of their own sort of meta, which is being able to fight, do dirty skirmishes, look at those objectives and try and get everyone involved, and I love that, and I think it's interesting to see that the mid game is where most of these teams are falling off, where they do want to start trying to get together, but they are starting to make it work, as we've seen like Bliss. So, Skimmy, do you think we could see some mid-game shenanigans, potentially?
Easy said and done, though, I think. Based on this matchup, I think Bliss will just run an early game lead, and the mid game will never actually exist. I think you'll look at Harry in particular. He'll look to try and bully Sovereign as much as he can on whatever champion. He'll be looking to try and do the countering, and I think it's very hard to look past the likes of, Violet and Aladoric, right? So, obviously, a very star-studded roster, so lane for lane, position for position, it's going to be an uphill battle, but that's why I think we have to lean into this idea that Tally mentioned in his interview that, can we see anything super, super crazy that throws them a curveball? We've seen it in the past, right? They went for like the Jarvan, the Malphite, like the full wombo combo, and I think those are kind of comps that can still function relatively effectively, even if you're like, 10,000 gold behind.
That's what we want to see, but you said it's an uphill battle. Talking about being uphill, let's talk in the top lane with Biopanther from Team Bliss. This guy sitting at the peak. He's at the top of the mountain. He's just like, yeah, give me the Jax, give me the Vayne. We're looking good. Bio, how you doing, Sunshine?
I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I'm actually excited to play today because I'm going to leave up Riven and I hope Udon plays it, so...
Ooh, okay. So are we expecting, like, it's the last one of the regular series, Bio. Are we expecting some fancy picks from you guys this split? The series?
Nope. Like, to be honest, probably not. I think we're trying to, like, keep our consistency up, but I think overall, I think we're just expecting Kanga to do some, like, spicy stuff. I think if he does pick Riven, I'll pick something, like, spicy, but other than that, I don't think there'll be anything special.
Alright, that's fair. Like, I understand that. You guys are in a pretty good spot on the standings. You want to keep that going?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to pick Riven to spice things up, That's why.
Just call him out.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, 100%. Tally.
I mean, firstly, congrats on taking back rank 1, keeping those pesky AD carries where they belong. I want to talk to you about, Gangplank and Dr. Mundo in particular. One we've seen a huge rise in popularity thanks to Warmogs, and the other, I'm still on the fence about, but something that I would like to see come back. How are you feeling about these picks?
I think Dr. Mundo just gets a lot better because Giant Slayers got removed from the game and Cut Down is a little bit worse. So in general, for tanky tanks, so I think he's okay, but I think he's like a 5p, and I think GP, I think he will slowly creep up, but I don't think his items are there yet, because I think Bruiser GP is just not good enough at the moment, that's why.
True. Oh, I just really, I want to see Gangplank come back. I have very fond memories of some very nice barrels.
Yeah, I think GP will be good if like Bruiser GP comes back, but I think if he has to itemize crit, I just don't think he'll be viable.
All right,
that's it.
Nice to hear.
Okay.
There you have it. There you have it. You just shattered all of our dreams there, Big Bio, mate. So I suppose on that note, let me just perch you back up. We just saw your replay before. 4-man Jack stun. Let me know what you were thinking in that moment. Was that a case of saying to the people, guys, stop calling me this tank player. I can literally play any champion in the game?
I think right now I really do think the carries are just way better. I think in my past I've always been like the facilitator player. I always play around the team, but I feel so comfortable on like the Renekton's, the Jax, and like the Aatroxes. I just want to be able to pick them blind and then just play the matchup really well. So I'm just trying to push myself a little bit more, and I do think I am the best top in the league, so I can just push myself to that limit.
Do you find that hard, actually?
Like words.
Yeah, talking about that, do you find it hard with your team? Everyone in your team has the capacity to carry. So does that make it harder for you guys in draft to be like, oh, who's going to sort of take the lead this game?
That's why I'm always happy to drop. That's why you always see me on Kazante and Ornn, Like that's just how I am.
Yeah.
I'm just very happy to play for the draft and play for the team, because at the end of the day, like someone has to drop their priority, and I do think a lot of my team has like strong carry picks, so I'm just happy to play around like whatever we need. So
See, I don't like that. I want that to change.
Oh,
I want you to have your
I have a question. I have a really last minute
sure,
question.
sure. Yeah.
We talk about the Cassante matchup. You played it 8 games in a row last split. We're not going to see it from you this time. I'm grateful for that. You've played the Vayne top lane already. We're seeing more and more Zeri top as a result. Are we cooking with a little bit of Zeri action, mate?
Oh, I do think I'm pretty good at Zeri because I did go fuel to rank 1 on Zeri. So like, I can probably not today's game, but I'll probably like you might see it in playoffs. I think playoffs might be the chance to see it.
Keep it in the back pocket.
That's what I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't show it through regular split. Not allowed. Play something stock standard. Whip out the crazy stuff later on. Well, Bio, thank you so much for coming on, mate. You've always been a delight.
Thank
you
you
have
so
a
much.
great series. Go enjoy yourself. Play a carry champ for me.
You too. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Oh, we got the wave back again. 2 from 2.
That's what I'm talking about. I can't play for him though. That's the only downside. He said, "Go have fun." Like, you know, that's one of those awkward. You're at the shops and they're just like having a like they say something really.
Enjoy your meal. Yeah,
yeah,
you
enjoy your meal. You're like, yeah, you too. I was
nice
just
flight.
like,
Oh, it happens to the best of us.
look, but no, we love Bio. He's always good. He's always in high spirits. That's what you love from these players, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, every single time we've seen, even when they've gone to PCS and we could be getting our heads caved in, right? It's always him when they pan the camera through the team. The one man smiling, always big Bio Pen for the Colgate sponsorship. He's a treat.
Extra widening. Let's have a look at side selection as we're seeing where these teams decided to play. Both looking blue side. Honestly, I'm going to say this now. Nice to see Kanga change up from going red side and trying not to get the counter pick, trying to go for something a bit more aggressive. Tally?
Yeah, I think that with the solidification of the meta, I think there's 2 picks in particular in the back of my mind that you need to be on blue side for, and I think one is Rumble and one is Zyra, because I think that they, in isolation, no champs do what they do, and they are like, if you get these champions, it really defines what your draft looks like. So I think that going blue side is pretty much ideal at this point forward.
Well, now that we've seen the slides that they're on, don't forget to pick who you think's going to win this game. Your Twitch channel points are just up there. Make sure you get them in. Support your favorite team. I might put a little bit in. I might. It's heading towards the end of the split. I think that's fine because we're going to show you our predictions right now. And look, I won't beat around the bush.
Yeah, fair enough.
Very hard to go against it though, right?
Yeah.
Very, very hard to try and like rely on like that 5% odd that I sort of teased at beforehand. I think, yeah, for Bliss, it is the case, much like Bio mentioned, right? Repetition, play the stock standard, make sure that what we've been practicing, that's going to be working. It's playoff ready. As for Kanga, it's like, we're not in the playoffs. It's just a chance for us to showcase, almost like bow out gracefully. So can we cause a bit of an upset to, keep these teams humble?
It's a chance to sort of to grow a little bit more, right? Like, it's a chance to go up against a bigger team. You've obviously scrimming through them throughout the weeks and stuff, but now as you're on the stage, it's the stage match. And I think that's you get a lot more, I think, Tally, from stage matches. Is that correct? Like, you get the bit more the pressure on?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's definitely a scale. Like, LAN would be first. Like, playing in front of a crowd is where you would experience the most pressure, but it's also where you get the most excitement from doing something good. But I still think that counts online when you know that people are watching you. You get this extra bit of urgency or this extra bit of dopamine that you get from doing something good in a game. And I think that even these little plays that you might not consider very good in solo queue, all of a sudden doing them on stage in front of all these people is what really drives you to keep improving.
Yeah, so I think it's a good learning opportunity, and I think that's what I'm really excited for Kanga because, again, like we've said, not the greatest split, but it's a chance to improve. They're bringing in fresh names, giving them that experience and that knowledge. They're learning from some of the best, and that's what you want, right, Skimmy?
It is what you want, yeah. I mean, as long as the players are hungry to try and continue at this level, then it's a chance for them to showcase that even if we are in this position, individually keep an eye on me because I can certainly be a diamond in the rough, somebody that you could look to try and invest some time into, train up, and we've had multiple success stories, right? The likes of Hooper and Styx and so on that come to mind where they got a chance, grabbed it by both handles, I suppose, and really took it. So it's a chance for some of these Kanga players to do the same.
I'm pretty keen for that. I think I would actually like to see some spice in this. Like, is there anything you guys or Tally you could bring to mind that would be a very off-meta pick that Kanga could pull out and cause a bit of an upset?
I mean, I've said it in weeks past, but I think Ivan is broken, really broken, especially with tank support, double AD carry. I think that he is really good into mages, just having redemption, spam shields. It's so hard to deal with that champion, and the fact that you just summon Daisy and all of a sudden have the best tank in the game. He's so broken, but I don't know. He's quite like I would say he's one of the hardest champs in the game to play. You know, being able to micro him is extremely difficult, and you know, perfecting his clear is something we rarely see done.
Well, okay then. Talking on that then, how do you do Zyra versus Ivern? If you say Ivern's quite broken and it's very easy to do, Zyra has been that super clear champion. We've only seen it a handful of times, but we know it's so good. How would you actually compare those?
I think Zyra is probably one of the only mages who is, you know, functions well into Ivern because, you know, you look at Karthus, a lot of his damage is front loaded, where like if he throws out his Requiem, Locket, Redemption, it's all the damage is gone. But a lot of Zyra's damage is, you know, it's a lot of poke damage, a lot of burn damage, a lot of disruption. So Ivan's not really good at dealing with, you know, a lot of damage sources from different angles because, you know, he wants to be able to, you know, throw his shield onto the one person. So I think that they're both clear very well and they match each other in the jungle, but Zyra should feel pretty comfortable versing a champ like Ivan.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, I'm going to summon Daisy, and send you guys into Champion Select because I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy your match.
Thank you so much there, Pike. Yes, let's load in to the rift, into the draft. As finally we're back into action. Yeah, that 1 week break, Tally, we mentioned it before, felt like an eternity, and it's a chance now for these teams to say, all right, we've had a little bit of extra prep, maybe a few more scrims. Let's see what we've landed on here.
Yeah, and something else that is really nice is that, you know, we get to watch other regions play on 14-13, so we're not the first team or the first region going onto this patch. We get to experience what the prioritization is like from overseas, and I'm really curious, Gimmings, like, you want to let's have a little bet. You know, how many 80 carries do you think we're going to see in combination from both teams this game?
Well, I think for this entire day, we probably will see at least at a minimum 2. I would love to see them push the agenda and go for all 3 and just say, yeah, we have the hands, we have the mechanics. But yeah, I'm expecting a whole bunch.
All right, I'm gonna say there's gonna be 5 80 carries in this game, this draft. I'm gonna guess 5.
580 in total. Well, we're already at 3 potentially if the Kaiser gets locked in as well. I like the fact that we got a Sejuani back. That was probably my suggestion if we went to it. Of you know, seeing more of this champ because we're seeing it so prominently globally, but only 1 game played at home here. After a whole bunch of juggling around, they do in the end settle on the Kaiser. So
that's 3
out of 5.
And yeah, actually, I agree. I really like the Sejuani. I like these champs that can be flexed. It has so much success in top, paired with the, you know, like the Zinzaos, the Viegos in the jungle, who can really proc that passive extremely fast. And you know, seeing that Bliss has decided to leave up the Tristana with the Corki being banned, you know, that's the trade that we're used to seeing with this, like the handshake matchup in mid lane. Curious to what Harry wants to play in the mid lane. Is it going to be the Ezreal? Because I think that's quite Tristana favored in the 1v1, or is, you know, does he have something else prepared that he wants to play?
What I would imagine, yeah, there it is. You know, I was expecting a much more aggressive option because we've certainly seen on his own he can get it done. The 1v1, he trusts himself. He's got the team to obviously facilitate it with the pressure elsewhere to say, you know, they're not going to come towards me because it's a little bit too hard to try and do. And look, his Yone has really impressed when it has come out to play. So game on then for Kanga as to how they want to try and wrestle back some control, because I think, yeah, it kind of rings true again that if the early game is too strong, how does the mid game even actually come to fruition?
Yeah, and I think that, you know, speaking more on Harry's Yone, I think he's extremely good at these, you know, even matchups where he doesn't win in the early game, he does such a good job at, you know, maintaining that CS, like keeping it equal pretty much, and then scaling up. And I think that his main strength on these champions is he's like side lane power. I think that's something that is such an underrated tool for solo laners, is, you know, how well they play the mid game, how well they play side lanes. And we always see Harry collecting so much farm, finding solo kills on the side lane, creating so much pressure for his team, and just doing a really good job at, you know, playing the map as you should.
Yeah, his stats were phenomenal when we last checked in with it, right? The most KP, so much you know, lane dominance as well, and it certainly does translate into them being a team that can all carry on their day, and certainly have shown in the past that they can play multiple carries and all function regardless. Let's see though, with 2 more of those prominent junglers denied, the Brand, the Zyra, now the Maokai as well. It really is game on end for Kanga to figure out, okay, how else do we build around this with 2 carries in place? What else can look to try and stop us down? And it's going to be the Leona and Braum that they want to remove.
Yeah, they really want to go for this, you know, they still need their major AP threat. With Rumble being banned, there isn't, you know, that's Wudon's main AP threat. Does have the option of picking up, you know, something like a Gwen if he wants to, but it's something that's very hard to blind pick. Probably going to be an AP pick in the jungle, but as I was mentioning before, we have seen the nerfs to the Talia and the Karthus. So if those if one of those champs is picked to go for the jungle for Kanga, it is you know, quite a difficult champion to really take over the game when you have that little minor clear speed nerfs. They really do add up.
Yeah, they certainly do. We've spoken about it in the past, right, where, you know, a couple of AD added here or there, you might not think it's that big of a deal, but certainly can be the difference between clearing and getting to that, you know, contest, or just missing out by a fraction. You mentioned it, Talia. It is going to come out in the end, so now a little bit of AP is online here for Kanga. Obviously, we've seen from the Kaiser that it can be very flexible in multiple different directions based on, do you want to go on hit, do you want to be more the sort of the poke annoyance? Another question becomes, and almost a classic here for Kanga, it's always down to Woodon to get that last pick, blue side, red side, whatever it may be, a chance for him to showcase what he wants to do. Going to be the Renekton.
No Riven.
And now it keeps us guessing, is the Sejuani going to go top, or do they have something else?
Yeah, I think this is Bio's comfort zone. Like, he's like, all right, he's decided to play Renekton. He's played this matchup so many times, and he has so many different champs that he could play into it. I think the one that has popped up recently is the Gnar, so it is something that he could play, but, you know, double AD carry, a good Malphite lane, it is such a good angle for Bio right here.
That's just crazy to me. The fact that we asked Sovereign, you know, we're going to see Malphite again, and he says, oh yeah, maybe, hovers it, decides not to go for it, and then Bio on a 5th pick locks it in for himself and says, I'll show you how to get it done. And for me, I mean, this has so much engage, so many ways for the Sejuani to really find, you know, a ton of effectiveness with that passive, and then Ezreal just gets to sit in the back and watch the bruises get to work.
Well, you know, you do look at the Bliss comp and you would say, oh, they are like quite attack damage heavy. There's a lot of mixed damage on the comp in the Yone and Ezreal who can, you know, really make up for... I don't expect either of these members to fall behind, so, you know, with base stats, with base levels, they'll be able to do so much magic damage in the mid game, and there isn't really a true tank on the Kanga side. We do see Gavin on that Nautilus, which is, you know, a nice change for Kanga, because their last 5 games we have seen him play the Enchanters. They always talked about how they keep prioritizing the Lucian Nami and the Renata. That was one they have played in weeks past. So nice to see that they are playing these melee supports again, because it just gives them a bit more agency in the early game.
It certainly does, and obviously whilst the Lucian Nami or any kind of Lucian variation is incredibly strong, it did hurt them in the long run, right, in terms of trying to find those, you know, go windows, the sign just to pull the trigger and engage, and certainly going to have a whole or a whole abundance of it. But I suppose you say that in isolation, you can look at Bliss once more and say they just have a fraction more, but certainly for that bot lane 2v2, the Kaiser Nautilus does pack a punch, but an Ezreal with a Rel to try and really punish you certainly could be the difference here. Well, Telly, let's load ourselves into the Rift. It's week number 6, the final week before the playoffs come online. Kanga won't be participating, but Team Bliss want to continue their good work and really hang on to their second spot. Let's see as we load in now.
Yeah, I think that is such an important thing for Bliss, you know, talking about good work. I think they have to keep, you know, having this form, having this, you know, style of play where they look so dominant on these different, you know, picks where, like, you look at their comp right now, they don't have a lot of early game agency. You'll say, you know, they have 3 lanes where they do not get priority. You know, how much can they really get done in the early game? Because I really like the comp they have come up with. I really like Malphite as a pick, you know, into these double 80 carries. We saw Nasus in the past, which I think Wither is a really good tool to deal with double 80 carries, but Ground Slam paired up with the Frozen Heart, I think Malphite can get so much done in this team fight to create space for his carries.
Well, I'm interested to see how he functions in the early game, right? Because no doubt Woodon, being as he is, wants to be incredibly aggressive, wants to showcase that Renekton isn't going to just, you know, roll on over, wants to actually be that force towards the mid game. So I wonder just how much work Kanga can get done, knowing that the lanes they're going into aren't as strong as they would be, or if it is very much cruise control, and, you know, Team Bliss's mechanics just get to, you know, carry them through to that 10-15 minute mark.
I would say, you know, the Kanga lanes are winning. They should get priority in most of these lanes, if not all of them. But the Bliss lanes aren't really punishable. You know, you do say that they are losing priority, but, you know, they still can skirmish. And in isolation, they are good in these 1v1s. It's just about the champions where range versus melee mid lane, pretty easy to get priority. Kaiser in the bot lane, pretty easy to get priority when you get to spam that attacking rain on all these creeps. But a lot of trading going down in bot lane, but unfortunately doesn't find the passive proc, which would have been a very, you know, one-sided trade for them. But once again, we should just see priority in the early game, which is really nice for Cadence on the Talia to be able to navigate, like, the hardest part of the early game, which is, you know, that first clear.
So he is, and he's got himself a pretty tough challenge, right? Auto-filled into that position, up against Kevy, one of the best in the league. So not the easiest time to, you know, not only speed that clear, but then find the right place on the map to deploy to assist your team and try and even out some of these 1v1s. And this is a matchup we've seen countless times, isn't it, right? The fact of Harry on the Yone, copying so much damage and getting pushed in from the Tristana, but as we get closer and closer to level 6, and especially that first item, be it the Berserker Greaves or a little bit of lifesteal, it changes very quickly.
Yeah, and this is, you know, something that's very underrated about Yone right now is, like, you would look at that trade and you would consider that very favored for Sovereign, but, you know, thanks to the Absorb Life, Fleet, you know, Doran Shield, Second Wind, there's just so much sustain that he has, and as time goes on throughout this lane, you're going to see him, you know, regain that health advantage, and then he'll be able to start winning that just through that sustain he has.
And it's just crazy to me, given that, you know, over the years, Riot have tried to do so much to remove a lot of the sustain, and yet we still find ourselves in this situation where it's just too hard to delete in its entirety. Let's check in with top lane as well, very quickly. You can see a bit of a trade took place before. Two meatheads is bashing up against one another. But it would be Woodon that won't have the luxury of all that extra HP as, the Malphite reigns supreme.
Yeah, and usually this is a timing that you would consider a dive, 3-wave dive onto the top side, but we are seeing Caden still on his clear, didn't decide to skip any camps and punished by with that, Max Fury, Renekton. I think that there is an angle for them to go for, but also playing for yourself completely fine. Woodon doing a really good job to proxy and create some, pressure on the map, because if this Sejuani is here, he should be able to get out pretty comfortably. If Panther has to go for the wave, doesn't want to miss any of the experience.
Yeah, it's also a very good start here in the bot lane for both Pilot and Eldoric. Interesting fact for me, at least, is that, Ezreal is one of his most played champions. And, we talk about people in the league picking up Ezreal, not the go-to for some, maybe not as easy as the others, but would be one of his highest win rate champions, nearly at 70% over 16 games. There's certainly nothing to scoff at, so excited to see if he can put on a bit of a masterclass. But in that same vein, how early will it be for Eldoric to try and roam up and leave the Ezreal on his own?
I think right now is definitely one of those timings. Whenever you find out these push timings, find a reset, you can walk mid, pair that up. We don't see Kevy doing pairing up with support because his camps are small. He doesn't really want to be here. This is probably going to be Eldoric being that defensive countermeasure because the members from Kanga are here, and he's just going to do a little bit of dewarding, cover his mid lane, and make sure he is happy. Because all Bliss needs to do is get through the early game. That's the hardest part for them, because once they do get those level 6s, they do get those skirmishes around grubs and dragons. That's when their comp starts to shine.
That it certainly does, and some really nice vision there. Actually completely reads the play that Kanga were hoping for. 3 members hovering towards the mid lane. Nothing to be found. Fully aware of that one, and dissuade any idea of entertaining it whatsoever. And finding out, Bio's going to get a chance to actually push out this wave. Dead on even with the CS, soon to be equalized and back in Woodon's favor if he can pick up some of this underneath the tower. But those seismic shards, just so annoying. This is the bowling ball down the lane.
And I was actually, I really like to hear Bio being so confident in himself, like straight out to saying he's the best top laner in the league right now. Because I remember the last time he said he was, he was this confident. It was, back in 2022 where he just completely gapped Top Hoon in the final. So very nice to see that he's feeling himself again. But, Kevy going for this gank onto Gavin might just be a very easy kill for himself.
It certainly might be the case, as Gavin is actually unfortunately going to flash into the headbutt of Kevy. The Ignite tick actually gets a retaliation kill, so they trade 1 for 1. The stun underneath the tower. Vendrick falls down as well, and Violet ever so low. Fantastic flash away, as Cadence did as well, just to try and get a little bit of extra damage in the mix. But that's your first interaction, and a good one at that.
Yeah, not too bad of a trade for either side. They do get summoners on all these members, so I think it's all going to be about, who comes back, who wants to, punish that. But I think this is always going to favor the side of Bliss, because Ezreal, whenever he gets through the early game, whenever he gets a lead, he's such a dominant champion when we get to mid game. When we see him on that mid wave, he can arcane shift forward, land these mystic shots. It's so oppressive.
Certainly is. It's that big battle between the two of them, right, as to getting those items online as quickly as they can for the Ezreal, making sure that you keep ahead of the the traditional crit scaling AD carries. As for the Kaiser, is as quickly as you can, evolving all those core abilities to truly function and sort of supercharge your damage as a whole. Well, Kibby did find a kill. Harry also might find one in a second as he slingshots back, and very deep underneath that mid tier 1. Still comes out ahead with the HP.
Yeah, just trading his health, forcing Sovereign to go back. He does have access to the teleport, so he's not going to miss any of this wave. But I really like this play from Kevy. Straight away running to the grubs after that bot skirmish, because he knows that Cadence does not have access to the Flash Summoner, and if he does walk into River, he's going to get met by a Panther who has his ult ready.
Scary, scary times when a Malphite's ready with that unstoppable force. Really is, like the name mentions, an absolute titan you don't really want to wrestle with if you can avoid it. 3 gubs then go the way of Bliss. The dragon yet to be looked at. Sovereign jumps in aggressively, but Kevin can just simply dash across the wall to safety. So nothing to be found just yet. Once again, checking in the bot lane. Violet feeling so strong and finds the second. Fantastically set up there by Eldoric with the flash stun pounce. And Venture will have to fend for himself for what feels like an eternity now.
Yeah, and you were mentioning how successful Violet was on this champion, but I just think Ezreal has been out of the meta for so long that we don't really remember like who was who were the major success picks on this champion back in the past. And really nice to see that it has come back into meta. We do get to see these really talented micro players playing Ezreal again, because I just think it's such a nice champ to watch, and in the right hands can absolutely take over a game.
It is a treat. A mechanical masterclass is what we're looking to try and witness here today, as he's already ahead by a sizable amount of that CS. The only person also with a champion bounty this early on. is certainly a scary prospect to try and deal with. Level 6 is now starting to come across for those AD carries as well. And this is that big deciding moment that you mentioned before. And a big reason why I think both sides have sort of, let's forget about that dragon. We're not really too keen to entertain the full 5v5.
Yeah, I think that as we do see more levels come into the game, Bliss would feel a lot more favored to go for that dragon. Kevi paired him up with, either Aladoric or Harry in this skirmish is going to do so well that now that he has access to the ult. I expect to see this one pulled straight away because Bliss want to get these objectives rolling as soon as possible. It just gives them more avenues to play the game. They do not lack side lane pressure this game at all, but, the fact that they're able to play the 5v5 Soul is just, what makes their comp so dynamic, and having these different avenues to be able to attack the game is what makes their comp so good.
What it's seen in Telly, it's two members soon to be free of Bliss attacking onto this first dragon. Kanga are grouped up as an entire squad. No wood unavailable, but the Weaver's Wall coming on in. Cadence going to separate the likes of both Harry and Violet. The big damaging threats, but in jumps Aladoric with the two-man Magnet Storm. They easily take down Cadence, make it a double as they really rip them apart. Yes, they take down Kevi, so there is no spite, but the dragon's already been done. And now a lonely Kaiser gets isolated for another kill. And Violet really is so far ahead now.
And that almost felt effortless for the Bliss members. We saw Eldor pretty much just walk up melee range, throw out the Magnet Storm, find it really easy to engage, pair that up with the Fate Shield, and it was just such an easy team fight for the Bliss members. This is where their comp is so strong. They find level 6 advantages on their support, and thanks to Sejuani having a combat ult, whereas Talia doesn't, they have 2 ult advantages in this skirmish, and it's just going to be such a one-side affair at that case.
And it was incredibly close on that dragon. I saw 40 HP remain before Kevi was able to pick up that one. So the smallest of margins, would it have made a big of a difference? I'm not too sure in the end, given that the kill count certainly still went in an overwhelming favor. But to be already at your first item before 10 minutes, this is crazy.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. We do see aggression going on to buy a top lane. Does have access to ult though, so even if he isn't able to walk this one off, which he does so well, he can always just throw out the unstoppable force and just disengage any pressure that happens onto him topside.
Yeah, so difficult to try and find a way back in now if you're Cadence as to what lane do I look at. Mid lane is no longer winning, top lane is a rough one, and bot lane is just going to win on its own because look, Violet doesn't actually care. The only thing that stops him is the tower. Now Kevi says, okay boys, thank you so much for serving me that beautiful double kill. Smite onto Gabba, no, Hog fails! Oh, an absolute tragedy. And then we pan into mid lane, and both mid laners are bleeding.
Oh, and how painful is that when Ezreal can arcane shift into the creep wave and fight you inside your minions? That is, very telling in itself how strong Violet and Aladoric are in the bot lane right now. And Harry doing a really good job at absorbing all this pressure. Might see aggression go on to Cadence here. Harry almost has access to the Fate Shield.
Yes, he does. Looking for the kill right now. Cadence unable to try and escape from this situation. The flash burn, but nothing to be found. Fantastic disengage by the end there from Sovereign for sure. That was the second lined up very easily. Kevi tanks up 1, tanks up 2, Buster shot away. Tower. It's winning the game for them. As Sovereign continues to taunt in that mid lane. And as for the bot lane of Bliss, that it's like, well, if you're not here, we will just win instead. Kevi.
You know what? Everyone gets one, Skibby. Everyone gets one. Violet going for the 2v1 here in the bot lane, feeling very confident. Has the items to back it up, and I think he's just, being able to force him out like this, find the easy kill.
Wow.
What a player.
Unbelievable. There's no reason, well, there is a big reason, I should say. There's no reason you should try and challenge him in this situation because he is known as Ultraviolet for a good reason. He's gone for the 1v2, maybe the 1v3. He lost vision. Weaving the auto attack. He's cancelled. He did it. He gets a triple. And look at the smile on his face. 6-0-4. Probably 2 free items done already at this point. The world is his oyster.
Has he finally woken up? Skibby, after all this time, we've been waiting for Ultraviolet to finally appear back on our screens, and, he's having a performance like this, pushing out the, jungle and bot lane by himself in a 1v3, finds himself the triple kill, finds himself 2 items at 12 minutes. What a performance.
Unreal. Really is, as Spawn would say, a bit of a shellacking to open up this one. And yes, whilst they really are on opposite ends of the table, it's that form, that consistency, that level off. Why can an AD carry do this? We are all aware that AD carries are meant to be weak, meant to be babysat by a support, so that they can do this far later on. He's only level 8. He's got a 2-level lead over the AD carry. He doesn't seem to care. And neither do we of that replay, because we're seeing more action towards the top side of the map. 6 scrubs picked up by Bliss. That's why Kanga are here. And can they find anything? Or is it merely a case of them being wiped off the map? 2 kills found very easily. And unfortunately, that tower might prevent them from going for a dive. Or maybe I've spoken too soon because they're going to say the tower is the only thing that can hurt us now.
Yeah, this might be the strongest member on Kanga right now, this top turret, so I have to see, is it going to be able to buy enough time for the members to come and clean up, as Budon is quite strong.
Not strong enough though, Tally. Not strong enough to stop the onslaught of 4 members in your face, ready to take you down in a heartbeat. And the bot lane of Kanga just a little bit too late to the party. So they get the kill, they'll get a few turret plates in the process, and also summon onto that cannon minion to say, back us up, boys. Let's go, go, go. No Magnet Storm. That was burnt prior. This one's a lot more scrappy, but this one continues to favor Bliss. They've got no mana, they've got no health, but they certainly have hands that work.
And just, as this is all going on, we get to see Bliss a complete masterclass in terms of micro-skirmishing. Violet is in the mid lane, picking himself up another 5 plates. So he's going to base, get even more items, and I think this, might be a very, very accelerated AD carry who is ready to take over this game even more.
What is this game?
Oh, not
what
another
is
time.
this game?
Skibby.
Literally everybody's playing like it's a custom mode. That it's like, jumping all over the map like one for all style, and he's just like, I'll win the game, guys. Whilst you have fun, I'll do this. He's got double the gold of the Kaiser, and now he looks at Cadence and says, welcome to the jungle.
Misses everything.
But he does miss it. Okay, so gods can bleed.
They can. They absolutely can, Skibby. Very, very exciting stuff in this game. We see 20 kills in a matter of 14 minutes, so we get to see a very action-packed game happening right now. Very unfortunate for Weedle. They didn't have access to the Dominus. I think that could have been a completely different outcome if he was able to get that cooldown back up before the dive did come through, but unfortunately doesn't have that cooldown, does fall down. Bliss do a really good job in that skirmish to win that one out, and we're just, checking the inventory of the Bliss members. They are just picking up all these items, and there is no response on the Kanga side.
Oh, it's hard. It's so hard to try and find a response back into this one. You need a shutdown after a shutdown after a shutdown at this point to try and claw back at this deficit. Double the gold between the AD carries. The levels are through the roof as well. He's got the same amount of experience as your solo laners, and that's usually a bit of a gripe for these AD carries, right? Oh, the bruisers, roam down to bot lane, 4 levels up on me, I just lose. But not today. Really is saying that I can do it all on my own.
Yeah, we see Kanga are, going for that side lane play, making sure Sovereign does feel protected to be able to push up, play for this bounty on the side lane turret, but Bliss don't care. They're playing 5 on mid-wave right now. They are ready to dive. They have access to these tools. They're like, all right, guys, even if they do have all their members here, we are diving this turret. Watch, if other flashes going to be here for these members when the engage does come out.
Yeah, it really is the case of them saying, that's cute, guys. You want some objective bounties? Let me just check that.
Are they going for the end?
Interrupt the recall. Yep, that's one cancelled. Soon to be second. No, it doesn't matter. 6 scrubs. A Herald's still in play. A second charge being primed here by Aladoric. In 15 minutes, we're looking for a new speed record, it would seem. Everybody wanted to try to break it this split because Tally's on the cast. It was his record to be broken, and that's what they're hoping for right now. One more turret, denying him of that ultimate prize as they weave in those cooldowns, but get denied by the likes of Sovereign and Cadence, hanging on for their life.
Still have the members, still have the cannon here. The tower is going to fall down. I do not think they have the members to be able to stop them. Do Bliss want to go for the kills, or are they going to go for that very, very fast, clean end that we are seeing this game?
16 minutes on the dot. The Nexus is completely exposed. Members split between, do we go for the kills? Do we go for the end? We'll go for both. Basically, we want to be greedy, and that is what we'll do. 26 kills in a 16-minute demolition. And a showcasing that, yes, there is a reason why we're in second and you're on the opposite end of the ladder.
We do get to see an absolute shellacking, and you would think that a game that is so one-sided isn't going to be excited, but, seeing so many kills, almost 2 per minute, is such a nice thing to watch as a viewer. So, really well played to Bliss. They just came out with this comp that is just, so good at skirmishing and so good in the mid-game, and they, find that one team fight at the Dragon and completely blow the game out of the water.
That it certainly did. It was an entertaining game, to say the least. 16-21, I believe, was the record. So if I'm not completely off the rails from that break, that should be the new fastest LCO game. We'll get that stat checked, and we'll tell you right after this break.